Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Gossips 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In a week where Los Angeles feels like it's holding its breath, the world of the bold and the beautiful erupts into one of the most chaotic spirals of fear, love, betrayal, and impossible choices, all circling around a horrifying twist that no one saw coming. Luna does not die, Sheila is kidnapped, and Finn is suddenly pushed into the most excruciating decision of his life. Who will he save first, and who will he let slip away? Everything begins on a deceptively calm morning inside the Forrester estate, when RJ wakes up with the lingering echo of the night before still clawing at his chest. The way Luna's scream had split through the air, the way her body had collapsed after the accident that everyone thought had killed her, the way he dropped to his knees thinking the woman he loved had taken her last breath. But now, as he stares at the empty space beside him, something inside him whispers that the story isn't over, that Luna's death never felt final, that something about the way the hospital handled the case, the way they rushed the body out of the room, the way Lee insisted on taking charge feels wrong, forced, manufactured. Meanwhile, somewhere far from the comfort of the Forrester mansion, Sheila finds herself waking up in a pitch-black space, bound to a chair she can't see, her wrists rubbed raw from whatever rope or cable is wrapped around them, and for the first time in a very long time she feels something she never allows herself to feel: fear. Someone has taken her, someone who knew exactly how to get past her, and whoever it is knows things about her life, her comings and goings, her secret exits, her weak spots, and her obsession with Finn. It's almost as if her kidnapper has been watching her longer than she realized, studying her, planning this moment, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Back at the Cliff House, Finn is pacing the floor like a man whose mind is splintering into 1,000 jagged pieces, because not only has Sheila vanished without a trace, something dangerous enough on its own, but now he's learned that Luna's body was never properly logged, never autopsied, and mysteriously disappeared from the system within hours. Two women who have shaped the last year of his life, one his biological mother, the other his patient, and a young woman who became woven into the fabric of his extended family, are now missing under circumstances that feel connected, sinister, deliberate, and very personal. Steffi tries to pull him back to reality, reminding him that Sheila's disappearance is not necessarily a crisis, not when the woman has faked her death 3 times, escaped prison twice, and staged dramatic disappearances whenever it suited her. But Finn can't breathe past the feeling that this is different. "I can feel it," he whispers, not even sure he believes his own words. "This isn't her running. Someone took her. And someone took Luna too." What he doesn't know, not yet, is that Luna is alive but barely, kept in a makeshift medical environment somewhere hidden, lying unconscious on a metal table connected to machines that beep in unsteady rhythms. Her hair is tangled, her face pale, her breath shallow but present, and hovering over her is the one person no one ever expected to be involved in anything this dark: Lee Finnegan. Luna's aunt, the woman who swore she would protect her family, the doctor who built a reputation on precision and honor, is now standing over her unconscious niece with a haunted look that flickers between guilt, rage, and cold determination. She didn't intend for this to happen, not exactly, but she also didn't intend to correct the mistake once it was made. For months, Lee had tried to push Luna out of the Forrester orbit, convinced that Poppy's daughter would bring nothing but heartbreak, secrets, and chaos. She warned Poppy, she warned RJ, she even warned Bill, telling him that Luna's presence would eventually ignite something old, something painful, something that should have remained buried. And now, seeing Luna lying there, alive only because Lee kept her breathing after the accident, Lee tells herself she's doing the right thing, that removing Luna from the equation is not murder, not cruelty, but necessary protection for the family she spent her life defending. Meanwhile, Sheila's kidnapper finally reveals himself, or rather, makes himself known without fully stepping into the light. Sheila can hear his voice, deep and steady, laced with a strange calmness that chills her more than screaming ever could. He tells her that she has destroyed lives, that she has rewritten people's futures without remorse, that she is the root of so much suffering, and that now the universe has finally decided to balance the scales. Sheila tries to threaten him, tries to invoke Finn's name, but the man only laughs softly, telling her that invoking Finn is exactly what got her here, that her obsession with him is what sealed her fate. She hears footsteps, slow and controlled, and then a door creaks open, letting in a sliver of light that makes her blink repeatedly until she can finally make out the shape of her captor. And when she does, her eyes widen because she knows him. She knows him better than she wanted to admit. Back at the hospital, Finn begins digging into the medical records, the security logs, the transportation logs. Anything that will help him figure out where Luna's body went after the crash. But the deeper he digs, the more he realizes how wrong everything feels. The timestamps don't match. The autopsy request was cancelled. The person who signed the release form doesn't exist. And the last security footage showing Luna's stretcher being wheeled out is intentionally blurry, as if someone tampered with the system. When Finn sees the silhouette of a woman pushing the stretcher, he freezes, because even though the footage is grainy and distorted, he recognizes the posture, the walk, the way the woman holds her shoulders. "Lee," he whispers, feeling his stomach drop like stone. Steffi steps beside him, whispering, "Tell me that's not what I think it is." But Finn already knows. His aunt, the woman who raised him, the woman who taught him to patch wounds and read vital signs, has taken Luna. The question is, why? And where? At that exact moment, Lee stands over Luna, talking to her even though she can't hear her, explaining how none of this was supposed to happen, how she wanted to save the family from another scandal, how she wanted to protect Finn from becoming entangled in more chaos, how she thought Poppy's lies would ruin everything and that removing Luna temporarily would give everyone space to breathe. But every time she looks at Luna's still form, guilt claws at her chest, tightening like a fist. She tells herself she's not a monster. She's not Sheila. She's nothing like Sheila. But the second the thought crosses her mind, she flinches, because Sheila is missing too, and deep inside, Lee knows that she's responsible for far more than anyone would ever imagine. As hours pass, Finn, torn between panic and determination, decides to track both disappearances, believing more strongly than ever that they're connected. The problem is that the police aren't taking Sheila's situation seriously. They assume she's playing another game, and they aren't aware Luna may still be alive. So Finn is on his own conscience, his own instincts, his own heart. And that's when he receives the message. One single text from an unknown number, containing only 4 chilling words. Choose who to save. Finn's hands start to shake. Steffi grabs his arm, trying to stabilize him, whispering his name, but Finn barely hears her. Someone knows Luna is alive. Someone knows Sheila is missing. Someone wants to force him into an impossible decision, to save the woman the world considers a villain or the young woman who never deserved any of this. Meanwhile, Sheila, bound and terrified, begins to realize why her captor took her. Revenge. Not revenge on her, but revenge on Lee. Because Sheila robbed Finn from Lee years ago, and now someone wants to rob Sheila of Finn in return. As she pieces together the truth, a new panic sets in. If Lee has Luna, and someone connected to Lee has Sheila, and Finn is being forced to choose, then all of this is part of a larger plan. Plan that isn't finished. A plan built on vengeance, protection, and deep-buried family wounds. And somewhere in the shadows, the person orchestrating everything watches the chaos unfold, knowing that Finn, moral, loyal, compassionate Finn, will ultimately be the one who breaks under the pressure. Because how do you choose between the woman who brought you into the world and the woman whose life was stolen before she ever had a chance to fully live it? The question haunts him. The question destroys him. The question will define him forever. And in the end, as the clock ticks down and the stakes rise, Finn knows that no matter what he chooses, someone will die. Unless he can find the truth behind Lee's secrets, Sheila's kidnapper, and Luna's hidden condition before time runs out, and LA collapses into a war that no one can walk away from untouched. Finn felt like the walls of the cliff house were slowly collapsing around him, suffocating him with every shallow breath that left his lungs, because now the clock wasn't just ticking, it was roaring in his ears, pushing him into motion even as his mind scrambled to understand how everything spiraled so far out of control. The message, choose who to save, played on loop in his head, taunting him with its cruel simplicity, knowing very well that there was no universe where he could choose between Luna and Sheila. Both women were alive, both in danger, and someone had orchestrated this nightmare with surgical precision, weaving together Finn's deepest fears and vulnerabilities into a trap designed to break him at the seams. Steffi watched him grab his jacket, watched him shove his phone, keys, and badge into his pockets, watched the way his hands trembled despite his desperate attempts to pretend he was composed, and she stepped toward him with a steadiness that Finn found both grounding and suffocating. "You can't do this alone," Steffi whispered, reaching out to touch his arm, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and determination. "Whoever is doing this wants you isolated. Don't give them what they want." But Finn shook his head, already halfway out the door, shaking with adrenaline. "If Luna's alive, if Sheila's been taken, every second matters. I have to move. I can't wait for the police. I can't risk anyone slowing me down. I have to find them, both of them." And the truth was, even though he didn't say it aloud, Steffi could see the war inside him. The part that wanted to protect his family, and the part that feared losing the people he felt responsible for saving. Finn sped through LA traffic like a man possessed, weaving between lanes with reckless precision, because the clues he found in the hospital files weren't just inconsistencies, they were deliberate breadcrumbs. Someone wanted him to follow this trail, and he hated that he was walking straight into their trap, but he had no choice. The message had implied urgency, and urgency meant danger, and danger meant the difference between Luna surviving or being lost forever. Finn drove toward the old industrial district first, his instincts telling him to check every abandoned warehouse, every shut-down clinic, every former medical facility where someone with knowledge of equipment could stash 2 unconscious or bound women. But as he pulled up to the first location, something felt off, not because the building looked suspicious, but because someone had already been there. Footprints in the dust. Tire tracks. A faint smell of antiseptic lingering in the air inside the entranceway. Finn's heart slammed inside his chest as the beam of his flashlight cut through the darkness, bouncing off peeling walls and broken glass, and then landing on something small, almost insignificant. A single piece of medical tape stuck to the corner of an overturned gurney. His breath caught in his throat as he knelt down and picked it up, examining the faint black marker line drawn across it, the same line he'd seen on the tape used to secure Luna's for during the short time she was in his emergency care after the crash. "This is her," Finn whispered to himself, his voice cracking as relief and terror collided inside him. She was here. But she wasn't now. She had been moved, relocated like cargo, handled by someone who knew exactly how to leave enough traces to torment him, but not enough to pinpoint their next move. As Finn stood, his phone vibrated in his pocket, and when he pulled it out, he saw another message from the same unknown number, this time containing a short video clip. When he hit play, his heart stopped. Luna, unconscious, pale, motionless, lay on a stainless steel table in a dim room, monitors beeping beside her with irregular rhythms. She was alive, barely, and the video zoomed in just long enough to capture her fingers twitching before cutting out. Finn staggered back against the wall, gripping the cold concrete as his knees nearly buckled. She was alive. She needed help. And someone wanted him to know exactly how much time he had before that fragile heartbeat faded away. But the video didn't show where she was. It didn't show who was with her. It only showed Finn what was at stake. He forced himself to breathe, forced himself to stand, forced himself to move. Because if Luna was alive, if she could be saved, then he would move heaven and earth to get to her before it was too late. But then another message came through. Not a video this time, but a photo. Sheila. Her wrists bound, her face bruised, a strip of duct tape across her mouth as she sat tied to a chair in what looked like a storage room. Her eyes, wild with fear and rage, stared directly into the camera, and Finn felt his stomach twist violently. Luna was dying. Sheila was terrified. And the person behind this wanted him to lose them both unless he followed their rules. Finn hit call on the unknown number, but of course there was no answer. Instead, he received yet another message. Saving both is impossible. Start with the one who deserves to live. Finn's hand shook so hard he nearly dropped the phone. He hated whoever this was. Hated how calm their words were. Hated how they thought they got to play God. But most of all, he hated that they assumed he would sacrifice one woman to save the other. "I will save both," Finn whispered fiercely, his voice trembling with fury and desperation. "I swear to God, no one dies today." With that vow burning inside him, Finn drove to the next location on his mental map. A shut-down clinic where Lee once worked as a consultant during her residency. If someone was using medical equipment, if someone had access to old logs or forgotten storage rooms, this was the next logical place to search. As Finn approached the building, he noticed something on the side door. Scratches near the lock, fresh and deliberate, like someone had picked it recently. His breath hitched as he pushed the door open slowly, the eerie silence of the dim hallway only broken by the faint hum of an ancient generator in the basement. He followed the sound, his instincts guiding him deeper until he reached a set of metal stairs leading downward. As he descended, each step echoed like a heartbeat, the tension building inside him like pressure in a sealed chamber ready to explode. And then he saw it, the glow of emergency lighting reflecting off stainless steel equipment. The smell of antiseptic, strong, recent. A cart with syringes scattered across it. A used oxygen mask. A discarded piece of gauze stained with blood. "Luna," Finn whispered, rushing forward, scanning the room for any sign of her. But just like the warehouse, she was gone. Moved again. Taken minutes before he arrived, judging by the warmth of a recently unplugged monitor. His chest tightened painfully as he ran his fingers across the table where she'd been lying in the video. She had been right here, alive, breathing, vulnerable. And he had missed her by seconds, maybe minutes. Whoever was doing this was watching him, tracking him, staying one step ahead, dragging him along like a puppet whose strings were pulled by a ghost. And then his phone buzzed again. Another message. Another taunt. She was here. You are close. But close is not enough. Finn nearly threw the phone in rage, his voice ripping from his throat in a broken guttural sound, because he refused to accept this, refused to let someone manipulate him like this, refused to be the reason Luna or Sheila died. He forced himself to steady his breathing, forcing logic back into his mind, forcing the doctor in him to override the panicked son, nephew and protector. Think, he whispered to himself. Think like them. Think like someone who knows you. Whoever was doing this understood him. They understood Lee. They understood Sheila. They understood the hospital system. They understood how to manipulate medical data. They understood how to move a patient without detection. Which meant this wasn't just someone with a grudge. This was someone from the medical world. Someone with access. Someone who had watched Finn long enough to know exactly how he would react. But who? He didn't have time to solve that part yet. He had 2 lives to save. And the next clue came in the form of a sound, barely audible but unmistakably human, coming from behind a sealed supply room door at the far end of the basement. Finn froze, listening. It was faint, muffled, almost like crying or moaning. He rushed toward the door, grabbed the handle and yanked, only to find it locked from the inside. "Hello," Finn called, pressing his ear to the metal. "Can you hear me? Are you hurt?" For a moment there was silence. Then 3 slow, deliberate knocks from the other side. Finn's pulse shot upward. That was a signal. A deliberate communication. Not Luna, she would be unconscious. Not Sheila, she would never knock calmly. Someone else. Someone trapped. Finn scanned the room for something to break the lock. Finding a steel tray, he swung it against the door until the latch gave way and the door burst open. Inside was a janitor, an older man, bruised, shaken, gagged, his hands tied behind his back. Finn rushed to free him, and the moment the gag came off, the man gasped, "You, Dr. Finnegan, you have to run. He said you would come here next." Finn's stomach dropped. "Who?" "I don't know his name," the man gasped, trembling. "But he knew everything about you. He said you wouldn't let anyone die. He said you would follow every clue. He said you think you're a savior." Finn felt his heartbeat stutter, dread pooling cold and heavy in his stomach. The janitor continued. "He took the girl, the pregnant one. He said she needs more time. And the other woman? He said she'll die first if you don't pick her." Finn froze. Pregnant? Luna was pregnant? The room tilted. The air vanished. Luna wasn't just alive, she was carrying a baby. RJ's baby. A Forster baby. And whoever orchestrated this nightmare had just escalated everything tenfold. Finn staggered back, leaning against the wall as the horrifying truth crashed over him. Luna wasn't just a victim. She was a target whose value had just doubled. Her life, and the life inside her, were being used as leverage in a twisted moral game designed to tear Finn apart. And then came the final blow. Another message appeared on his phone. "You're running out of time. Next clue. The place where you were born." Finn's blood ran ice cold. His birthplace. The hospital where Sheila had delivered him. The place Lee had tried to bury in the past. The place with more ghosts than walls. Luna and Sheila were being moved there. Together. And whoever planned this wanted Finn to walk into his own origin story. One soaked in secrets, lies, and unresolved bloodlines, to face the darkest truth of all. He can only reach one of them in time. But Finn refused to accept that fate. He grabbed the janitor, called emergency services, and then sprinted toward his car with a singular vow burning inside him like wildfire. I will not lose either of you. And as he sped toward the abandoned hospital where his life began, with the night swallowing the city behind him, he felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him, because whatever waited inside those walls would change everything, and by the time the sun rose, the world of the Forresters, the Finnegans, and everyone connected to them would never be the same again.